like sugar on my tongue, your body is so sweet.
Paula Porvikova and Janice Dickinson, when they left the show, were not very nice about you.
Let's not go there.
Well, I am going there. I am going to ask that question. Paulina Porvikova says that you lack respect for the co-judges. Janice Dickinson said that you were righteous. I mean, why do you think both of them had such negative things to say about their
I
experience?
don't know. Why do you think?
Wasn't there.
She doesn't want to go there. Why do you think? I don't know.
Jealous?
know.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm asking you. You said it. I didn't say that word. You said it. What do you think? You said it. Is that what you think?
I'm asking.
You said it. I didn't say it. She's not going to go there.
I think she just did.
No, you said it. I didn't say anything. You said it. Is that what you think? I interview people, Cynthia. So
Well,
I'm saying you said that. Why did you say that?
Because I think
say
every
it.
time women don't get along is the first thing people think.
I am the only supermodel in the world, and I am almost 35, and I do not like young
Tyra has completely gone off the deep end or skipped some meds or something.
I am the queen! I am the queen! What? What? Where is my win?
Now we're gonna get the...
Where is my win?
What? I've told you this woman needs wind constantly. Girls, help me blow. We need the wind.
You are not beautiful like me!
And before I get into this next segment, I know that I am very, very long-winded. This article will help me just highlight some of the most talked about shocking moments in the documentary according to E! News, because I'm using them as a source. But I want to reiterate, if you watch this video, I encourage, the reason why I feel like I've said this multiple times, or if I haven't said it, I've implied it in this video. Multiple things are true at the same time. And as I talk about this, I made it a point to constantly say, one of the most shocking things, and I'm sure this article will get into it, is Shandy's situation where she experienced that on camera, that was on camera. And then it was twisted, according to her, it was turned into a cheating scandal that we all thought in real time was a genuine cheating scandal, right? So, when we have these topics around consent, it just gets very, I legit know people who don't feel that they don't feel that way. They feel that it's sort of like I hate to say victim blaming, but it is what it is. I know people where we've had conversations and they're like, no, she just got drunk and got carried away. And at her as an adult, she doesn't want to take accountability, But once again, I think out of all of this, honestly, outside of, we're going to get into it though, but, right off the top of my head, when I think about the race swapping stuff, the body shaming stuff, the photo shoot themes, I think the most shocking thing to me out of all of this is the lack of care and accountability. Even it just felt like with the documentary, there was no attempt at that from Tyra or anyone else with Shandy. And I just feel like it was very careless. It was very well, that wasn't my fault. And I think that by far is the thing that has everyone the most outraged. When I think about this, I feel like, here's the thing, when it comes to dark-skinned Black women, I'm as a dark-skinned Black woman myself, I'm not a model per se, but the beauty standard thing is a real thing. Thank God I don't want a career in modeling. But, I talked about this in other videos before. I kind of hint at it. If you actually watch my videos, you know what video I've talked about beauty standards and then being a Black. I have a few videos actually about beauty standards and being a Black woman and, living in LA and working around this industry, and you see how people treat you. It's something that Black women always talk about. It's something that dark-skinned Black women talk about. It's something that plus-size women always talk about as well. In plus-size women, regardless of race, the beauty standards thing is a real thing. right? So we have moments of Tyra telling Ebony flat out that she had rough skin and she was ashy. The delivery was wild as hell, right? But that's a conversation that is I think Tyra was very much so in the mindset, look, I'm a black girl, so I'm gonna be harder on you. Don't think that because we're all black, and this is Tyra's perspective, not mine. I do feel like a lot of black celebrities and a lot of black public figures have this perspective when they help people sometimes as well. And just black people of privilege in general. They tend to have this perspective when it comes to ashiness. In the black community, that is a thing. We grow up with, like, I remember growing up and always wearing a bunch of Vaseline and a bunch of oils because my skin was really dry. Um, and that was something that was ingrained in me, where it is a thing of like, if you step out the house ashy, people are gonna, like, you have to represent. And, when Tyra, she didn't say that explicitly in regards to in regards to Ebony, from what I can recall, but she did say, when she spoke about Tiffany, she spoke about, that was the whole scene with her yelling at Tiffany and all that stuff. I'll probably post it here. But she was saying how that came from a place of, it's a black girl thing of like, okay, I see you giving up and I'm trying with you. I'm trying with you. I get that you come from a place of trauma. You have a story. I want you to be on the show. I'm trying with you here. You're giving up. Don't give up. So it's interesting because, when you see situations like the Tiffany situation, you see this dynamic where it's reality TV and it's like, it's drama, but then it's like, there's these hints of these real moments. Like, just to say this before we get into the article, my thoughts are all over the place, but I hope you're following. And I know it makes sense. But I have a mentor. I'm not going to say her name. She's a black journalist. And I was thinking about a situation that we had. This was during my time in graduate school. And I want to speak carefully of this. But essentially, basically, we had a situation that involved a confrontation between me and two other people. And it was my mentor and another person. And I'm trying my best to be respectful as I talk about this publicly because my mentor, I love her dearly. So don't take this as me being messy or nothing like that. I'm just using this as an example for context. Me and her, we talk about it all the time. During this altercation, there was another person who was trying to defuse the situation. And my mentor was trying to defuse the situation. And I wasn't having it. I wasn't having it. And it was a situation where I was the second only black person in the room. And I was arguing with two people of different races. And the person who tried to diffuse it, they were white. And they simply, I think they asked me to stop speaking or something. And I put my hand up. I just put my hand up like this. And it was a setting with multiple people. But we were going at it. It was me and two other people. We were going at it. And I had enough. I felt like I was being so disrespected by these two people. But it was one in particular where we were going at it. And I got tired of it. I was in a situation where I was like, okay, it's like two black people in this room. And it's this pressure on me. And this person is playing in my face. So when the white person was like, calm down, I put my hand up. I wasn't aware of how I came across because in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm trying to just get my point out. Please don't interrupt me. Do not interrupt me. Do not interrupt me. I have two people disrespecting me right now. They keep playing with me. I've had enough. It was one of those moments. It was one of those moments with these two people where I was like, I'm trying to keep it cute with you, but you are playing in my face. Stop it. I'm losing my patience. Right? So when I had the white person tell me to calm down, I was like, do not tell me to calm down. I'm talking right now. You let me talk. And my mentor was like, her perspective, because she's my mentor, so it's very like big sister, right? Because she's older than me too. She was like, don't you ever put your hand up in someone's face. That's so disrespectful, And me and her to this day, we still talk about it. And she's like, Khalif, you just didn't get it. Like you were so disrespectful. Like, how do you do that? And I was trying to explain to her, I'm like, it's the optics though. I have this white lady over here telling me to be quiet when these two people are blatantly disrespecting me. Don't tell me to be quiet. I'm not cussing at anyone, but you're going to let me talk. So in that moment, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't care about the angry black girl stereotype. I didn't care about none of that because those two people had me. We were going at it, right? I'm using this as an example. This doesn't relate to modeling. It relates to the whole Tyra yelling at Tiffany. I just want to get this out as an example. That's on my mind. Basically, my mentor to this day, she's like, I need you to understand how you came across. I need you to understand that. And I think although I didn't fully agree with her, I agree with her in that regard, right? I agree with her in that regard because at the end of the day, we were in a setting where it wasn't that many of us, and I was right in defending myself, but I felt so disrespected. And I was like, why does this person keep playing with me? My goodness. But then my mentor, she was like, I was trying to, when I told you to, she was like, as me calling you out about you putting your hand up as well, she was all like, what you didn't realize is that me and that person, we knew everything that was going on. And I was like, but you should have communicated that. But she was like, no, we're going to have a big sister moment though. At the end of the day, you have to learn how to take a beat. Like one of the things that she always tells me is to take a beat, and I love her to death for that because I'm a person where I feel like I'm a fair person, and what I've realized in my career, and just in my life in general, I'm a nice person too. I'm kind. I'm not just nice, I'm kind. But sometimes I lose patience for people, especially when I feel like my kindness is being seen as a weakness because, navigating LA and all this stuff and like getting deeper into this journalism field, as I get deeper into it, I'm seeing that I can't be kind because there are times where I genuinely feel like people think I'm weak and they play with me a lot. And it'll just be in different interactions. It'll be in professional settings but I've had experiences where I feel like people are trying to test me. So it doesn't happen all the time. But you have experiences in life where you're in different social settings and people could be catty. People are racist. People are these things. They're not always going to outright say it to you, but they're going to treat you a certain way, right? And when you're a black girl, sometimes you can't always explicitly have those conversations. And I'm going to be frank with you. I'm not saying Tyra was an angel or perfect for how she handled Tiffany, but when I think back on the show and I actually watched the show, I stopped watching a little bit after Isis got eliminated the first time. I think Isis got invited again for All Stars, I believe. So I popped in a little bit in the later cycles, but I think she was on their cycle 11 or something like that. So I can't remember off the top of my head. Shout out to Isis. Sorry about that. But I say all that to say, Tiffany, her story, it to us, right, with the editing and all that, because, she's over here going off on Tyra. She went off on Tyra literally yesterday, cussing Tyra out on her Instagram page, saying that Tyra lied, and basically the editing did not show the full footage of the altercation that they had. Y'all remember the whole screaming match of, we were all rooting for you. You know what I'm talking about if you watch the show. Here's the thing, though. When you get an opportunity, especially if you're a black person, giving it to another black person, it could be a black woman, black man, right? A person is, and this is why I can I see Tyra's frustration with Tiffany, but I also see Tiffany's frustration as well, because apparently Tyra cuts her out and says some more crazy stuff. It's coming from like a big sister auntie thing of like, look, I'm going to give you that tough love. And I understand that we live in an age now where we demand accountability and we demand sensitivity with all these things. But sometimes I feel like that craving for sensitivity, it eliminates accountability and rawness and realness when it's needed sometimes. Sometimes when you do believe in a person and you feel like they're just flippant with the opportunity, it's like, I gotta get in your... You get me? And I feel like Tyra turned that on a little bit. A lot, actually. I mean, she yelled at the girl and totally, like, disrespected her, right? But let me relate that back to my mentor. Me and my mentor, she was like, you put your hand up. And in the beginning, I was like, but you didn't defend me. I was very rah, rah, rah. I was very like, I see what you're saying, sis, but I don't see what you're saying, right? But over time, I thought about it, and I'm like, I did not, because she really had me thinking about this. She was like, Khalif, you were wrong. She was like, we were in a space and you put your hand up. And she kept emphasizing me putting my hand up. And for me, I was like, that's not a problem to me though. Why are you so gung-ho about me putting up my hand? My hand wasn't in her face. My mentor was like, no, I feel like it was in her face. I was like, that's not true. Now you're embellishing it. That's not true. She took it as me putting my hand up in her face. The lady was like 7 feet away from me. She was like across the room. She was telling me to be quiet, but she was not in my face, right? So I put my hand up like this. That's it. But my mentor was like, well, at the end of the day, she took it as you putting it in her face. So I was like, see, well, this is what we got to be clear about that though. I didn't put my hand in her face. So if you're gonna be hung up on my hand, I could take that, but stop this whole thing of like, you put your hand in her face. I was like, no. At the end of the day, I was talking. I'm grown. I'm not a child, right? So although you're older than me, I'm an adult. So I get the whole big sister thing. So maybe on some parts of this, we can agree to disagree. I'm grown, but I respect what you're saying. I told her that too. Me and her, we've had several conversations about this. I was like, I totally respect what you're saying. And now I have to learn because I didn't understand, regardless of my intention, I was so focused on arguing with the person. And I was so defensive because I'm like, I got two people going against me, and then I got this white lady telling me to be quiet. Like, no. And by the way, we were arguing because it was a buildup of a situation. This was not like a one-time argument. And I'm the type of person where, although I'm kind and I'm sweet, I'm gonna openly say I'm a confrontational person within reason. So I'm a confrontational person when I feel like a person is blatantly challenging me or calling me to the mat or disrespecting me. And it's something that, with maturity, I'm learning how to take a beat, like my mentor said, because she was like, Khalif, well, I need you to take a beat, you know? And by the way, I apologize to my mentor too. Although we agreed to disagree, I apologized to her. And I told her, I was like, by me putting up my hand and stuff, I was not trying to disrespect you. I told her flat out, I said, y'all not understanding what I've been through. I'm a black trans woman navigating this industry on my own. No one has I'm gonna be honest, I've had people give me advice and things like that, but when it comes to getting opportunities, I've had very few people give me opportunities, and I've had to be in a place where I'm like, okay, I gotta get it on my own. I can't rely on people, right? So, I told her that too. I was like, that's where I'm coming from. I've been through some things, right? I've been in spaces where, people have gotten physical with me because of my personality. Like my personality has triggered people, right? Just the mere entity of me being who I am has triggered people because I was in certain spaces that they didn't think that I could get into. I've had moments in my life where literally in certain spaces, professional spaces, where people have tried to fight me. And we had to swing on each other at the office. I'm not promoting violence, but what I'm saying is that I had to tell my mentor that I was like, I've been through situations before. Don't let all this kindness fool you. You know what I'm saying? I have been in situations, right? So with maturity, I'm trying my best to be patient with these two people. I was like, I'm really trying my best. you know, but to compare that or relate that to Tiffany and Tyra, I think Tiffany is just not receptive because of some things that Tyra said. And clearly, both of them, there's a line of respect that was crossed. And it caused disrespect. Does that make sense? Like it went from respect to disrespect. And as I say these things, I don't want to be too hard on Tiffany because Tiffany is, once again, it's multiple sides to the situation. And everyone is allowed to feel how they feel. But I do think that Tyra did not have complete ill intentions with Tiffany. And I think that they were all new to reality TV and they just did not understand the machine. I think certain people understood the machine, like Eva, like Takara, even Yaya. Yaya didn't agree with everything, but I think Yaya somewhat understood. Like certain people, even ISIS. I think ISIS understood, like certain people understood how to navigate as best as they could. And certain people did not. So let's get into the article because I spent too much time on this. I want to wrap this up here. So here are some highlights from this America's Next Top Model thing according to E! News. The first highlight was Shandy Sullivan became the girl who cheated. I talked about that several times in this video. If you watch the documentary, okay, so let me just read this here from E! News. America's Next Top Model Cycle 2 finalist Shandy Sullivan, who had a boyfriend back home, was filmed in bed with a male model who'd been partying at the contestant's house in Milan, as seen on the March 16, 2004 episode, The Girl Who Cheated. That's the title of the episode. Shandy said in the 2026 Netflix series Reality Check Inside America's Next Top Model that she was drunk and blacked out and that she thought producers should have intervened. Here is a quote from her. I think after getting out of the hot tub and whatever happened after that, I think that they should have effing like, all right, this has gone too far. We've got to like pull her out of this. That's the quote. So basically she's saying that, and she said this in the documentary, basically she wishes that they would have like intervened. She was crying the next morning after that happened. She called her boyfriend to confess to cheating and contacted the model in Milan to ask him if he had any STDs. When Tyra Banks was asked about Shandy, according to E! News, Tyra Banks said, I do remember her story. It's a little difficult for me to talk about production because that's not my territory. Executive producer Kim Mock said in the doc, we treated Top Model as a documentary and we told the girls on day one, we'd go over the rules with them. There's going to be cameras on you 24/7, day in and day out, and they're going to cover everything, the good, the bad, and the in-between. Tyra also added, I'm not head of story, that's Ken Mock, but I did become a master editor. It's important for people to know that we didn't put everything on TV. Those two responses were very HR, very much so it's your fault, very much so I told you so, you got too drunk, you got carried away, you're responsible for yourself. This is how I'm perceiving those two responses from those two. I get that was 2004. You know, this entire documentary is a case study in the egregious behaviors that happen behind the scene in the modeling industry, right? And in some cases in the entertainment industry in general. Y'all will be shocked at how people be fighting behind the scenes, people be arguing, people be catty, people be don't even now, like I get that we're in 2026, and this is separate. This is outside of sexual assault and R word, right? I'm all over the place, so follow me here. What I'm trying to say is that these spaces are harsh and ruthless. And I really wish that I feel like I'm jumbling y'all, but I'm a little sleepy. I hope you're following. I really wish that Tyra would have called her publicist or somebody, because that response was just so like, okay, well, I'm not responsible, you know? And here's the thing with Tyra. She's a seemingly transparent celebrity. She's a celebrity a celebrity that, in my opinion, she doesn't run. Some celebrities run. You know, Tyra doesn't run from uncomfortable things or uncomfortable topics, to me at least. I feel like Tyra is a very heads-on person in that way, a very spearheaded person in that way. But this is where she dropped the ball flat out, period. And although I am a fan of the show, I'm trying my best to not be a fan of Tyra, even in that moment, although I'm a fan of her too. The unbiased side of me, those responses are absolutely just irresponsible. And if you're going to do a documentary about, you know, the whole premise of this also, I took it as like, oh, let's hash it out. Let's sort out our differences. Let's say our piece. You could have at least said, I take accountability for putting you in that situation. Or if let me not say or she could have said, if I harmed you, I apologize. That's it. Don't even say if. I harmed you, I apologize for that. We had the cameras out. You signed a contract now. Things got a little loose. Okay, that's a little victim blaming me just saying that. My bad, y'all, my bad. I'm just trying to show both sides of it. But outside of that, Tyra should have flat out said, I apologize that this experience harmed you and that you were placed in a vulnerable situation as a young woman. Because on the show, they invited the men in the house. They were all in the hot tub in the bikini. Drinks were had. It was like 2 bottles of wine poured in all these different glasses. It was getting hot and heavy. People were flirting. The production asked the girls, hey, how do you guys feel about us inviting the guys into the house? We can get some B-roll. We can get some footage. Have fun. Use this as extra camera time, right? Jay Manuel also kind of disappointed me with this too. You know, not to call people out, but they're okay with being called out. That's why we did the documentary now, child. So they're all of them are gonna get their lashings, right? Jay Manuel. But here's the thing: I feel like Jay Manuel and all of them also need to get more lashings as well. Because I get that they were judges and they were doing their job, but it's like putting all of this on Tyra and not putting this on those other 3 judges as well, respectfully, and Kim Mock as well. Kim Mock is behind the scenes, so he could dodge all the hits, right? Tyra is the face of it, so of course everyone's gonna make her the scapegoat, and she's gonna take the hit. She is taking the hit harder than everybody, but Jay Manuel, when he talked about it, he very much so, according to what I saw in the documentary, he literally was like, I'm paraphrasing. Basically, they were aware of the contract that they signed. We have a rule in the house. We had a rule in the house where cameras are around you except the bathroom. So when you go in the bathroom, that's on you. That's basically what he said, essentially, allegedly. But I'm paraphrasing. Go look up what he said. He said in the documentary. He basically said, y'all were in the bathroom. You went into the bathroom. We got calls. He did say this in the documentary. He said that they got word that she was in the bathroom doing her thing. So he implied that it was consensual, therefore not listening to the victim, not taking accountability. So I'm gonna leave it there. They definitely dropped the ball with Shandy. Luckily she was on the special to talk about it on the documentary. So she's literally only advocating for herself. But the way that they handled it was very just cold and callous. And it is a reminder of how cold and callous and harmful and harsh the industry is, right? Out of all of the critique, I think that she is one of the most deserving. Everybody else, I feel like it's a thing of kind of like, okay, for example, Danielle. Danielle thought that her career would work out. She's heard that her career didn't work out. It messed up her life. It didn't work out. Okay, cool. It doesn't work out for everybody. Not everybody, unfortunately, not everybody gets the golden opportunities, unfortunately. I wish it would have worked out for Danielle because I actually really liked her on her cycle. I thought she was a beautiful woman. It just didn't work out. It didn't work out. She got the scarlet letter from the show, as all the other girls did. Cool. Bree Skolart. Bree don't even want to be a model no more. Bree is literally working with intimate violence. She says she works with intimate violence offenders, so she does like counseling for them. So that's Bree Skolart. She was one of the contestants on one of the earlier cycles. I actually really liked her as well back in the day. But she's doing good. She doesn't even want to model anymore. But she was very transparent about how real and gut wrenching the show was. Whitney's cool. Whitney got a great career. She's one of the success stories. I wish Eva was on there. I wish Takara was on there. I wish Yaya was on there. But, you know, word on the street from Adrienne Curry on her Instagram page, she shared that none of the girls got paid. And Adrienne Curry was the first winner of America's Next Top Model. She shared that none of the girls got paid. And basically, this is another example of them all essentially being pimped out in the media, right? Now, in their contracts, according to Adrienne and sources, a part of the contract was, hey, you get exposure, you're not getting paid, but you get exposure, right? Now, here's the thing. I was talking to my homegirl about this, my journalist friend. I was like, they got to rock it. She's giving you another 15, 20 minutes of fame, girl. You better run with it, especially in today's age. You better be like Kenya Hill, who was also on there. And Kenya is a good example of taking it and running with it. Kenya is now a posing coach and a model mentor. She has built a brand on that. She's getting paid from that. She's getting models booked. She took lemons and made lemonade, right? I think that some of the girls understand how to navigate the industry and understand how to stand out and make themselves different. Eva went right into reality television, did a little bit of acting, but now she's acting more. But she did acting in reality TV. Yaya did acting. Takara did some other reality shows, I believe, as well. Takara did a lot. She did some brand stuff. So Takara's still around, but Takara really made a career of herself more so right after the show, I would say. Especially like in the hip hop scene and stuff like that, hosting stuff. She did some hosting. I remember she did some hosting back then. So Takara really pivoted. Takara was one of the fan favorites as well. Here's the thing though, with me and my homegirl were talking. I was like, look, I get that they're upset, but some of y'all not trying to really, it's coming across like you're not trying to really take it and run with it. Isis took it and ran with it. Isis, out of all of y'all, Isis is a trans woman. She was the first trans woman openly on that show, right? And she managed to get bold and beautiful, and she's also had a hard career as well. But Isis took it to the chin. Do you get what I'm saying? And I know that sounds crazy to say it that way. I'm really not trying to be insensitive, but what I'm saying is like, because I feel like I'm coming across as like someone who is advocating for like industry hazing or something like that. I'm not advocating for it. What I'm saying is it happens. The industry is harsh. And although I'm not a model, as somebody who is moving in these different spaces, and I'm not famous or popular, but I be kind of in a little industry stuff here and there. It is a harsh thing. It is a harsh, I remember getting a taste of it at the beginning of grad school. There were comments made about my gender. There were all types of things that I experienced. And I'm not trying to say this to like, oh my God, I want to expose people, but I had people laughing at me, literally, when I would try to put myself out there. I had so many people laughing at me in the newsroom, literally in the newsroom on that campus at the school that I went to. I had students walk up to me and tell me, oh, we laughed at your package. Oh, you know why a certain news director at this school doesn't want to help you? It's because we feel like you do too much. We feel like you're extra, and we all literally laugh at you. I remember I had a white girl look me dead ass in my face at that damn school, and I'm not shading the school. I'm just showing the reality of what I went through. I went through some traumatic stuff where I literally had a white student walk up to me and flat out tell me, we're all laughing at you, right? You basically don't fit in here, and we're not going to help you. She said that they were laughing at me. Everything else she did not say, but she implied it. Right? So it's a thing of like, when I went through, and this is not modeling, I'm just saying these spaces are this way. And the industry is this way. We went through this thing in 2015 or 2012 to 2020, where everyone was trying to be so diverse and culturally sensitive. Now it's gone. It's not like that anymore, right? So when I see people who are so outraged, I understand the outrage, but I think, and me and my journalist homegirl, we were talking about this, and maybe because we both black girls, maybe because we both plus size, me and her, we went through some things and we were kind of like, well, honey, that's just how it is. We're not saying it's right. But girl, let's talk about modeling. As a model, your career is based off of your looks and your features and your aesthetic. And the people who get the furthest are the ones who fit the beauty standard a bit more. That's just what it is. Here and there you'll get a chocolate girl, here and there you get a plus size girl, here and there you get a trans girl, right? But the industry itself, the machine of it, is harsh. It is gut-wrenching, and it is what it is. And I think that that's what Tyra was trying her best to convey. And she did convey that, but it unfortunately traumatized a lot of people who were involved. And it was a reality show that got a lot of ratings, and it turned into a money grab and a cash grab. It did. She made millions of dollars from that show. It is by far probably the biggest part of her brand outside of modeling. I mean, I feel like America's Next Top Model, it's everywhere. It's even in other countries. It's in Germany, it's in Russia. It's everywhere. So Tyra is no angel. Tyra is not innocent, but I do think that Tyra is a product of her environment. I think Tyra unfortunately comes from the school of hard knocks. Um, I'm giving you context. I'm not justifying harm and abuse. What I'm saying is I think that I'm giving this context because I'm really trying to understand why Tyra is coming across so cold and so removed. Do you get what I'm saying? And as someone who has worked around more seasoned journalists than me, I've been in spaces with trans journalists who said some crazy stuff to me, and we was over here going at it in public, honey. And I flat out told the person, I said, honey, you're cold. And I don't like your energy. So that's why I don't mess with you. Right? But you're not going to play with me. I get that you probably been through some things, but you're not going to play with me. Right? Me and this person to this day, we still agree to disagree. You know, I try to be respectful. This person, you know, has told me, hey, you don't expect anything from me, yada, yada, yada. But now when we see each other, you know, we smile, we keep it cute, we keep it civil. We've never had like a conversation about, you know, our past, you know, riffraff or whatever. But I take it as, okay, maybe she's acting like this because she thought I was trying to like ask her for something and I really wasn't. And she rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like the girl. So, you know, I unfollowed on social media. We had a few interactions that I did not like. I didn't like the energy. So I unfollowed. You get me? And that's what caused a conflict between us and yada, yada, yada. It is what it is. So, you know, but I'm all over the place, but I hope I think for me, it's so much to unpack. And obviously I'm having a hard time with this on my podcast. Oh, girl, let's go ahead and get back to the article, girl, because this is all over the place, but I hope you enjoy. And if I triggered you, I am so sorry, but I'm trying to really look at both sides of everything and I'm trying to just understand. So, okay, let's get into the other highlights. Danny was pressured to fix her tooth gap. She decided not to in the documentary. She was saying how it's a part of her. And basically, Tyra wasn't hearing that. Tyra forced her to get it done so she could stay. That was something that really bothered her because she had to change something on her body. The tooth gap was a part of her. Here is a quote from Danny. Now, before I get into the quote from Danny, it was another runner-up, Joni, who actually had a full-on tooth surgery where they actually removed some of her teeth on camera. She was in there for hours. It was crazy. She has to sign all these different waivers. She didn't have any lawyers or anything to help her. So that's pretty ruthless. You know, I'm not with production and Tyra on it. That is absolutely insane. It messed up her teeth permanently, so that is wild, what y'all did to Joni. That is absolutely insane. Danny was pressured to close her gap. Didn't want to change it, but Tyra was like, look, you can't be on the cover of CoverGirl with a gap in your teeth. But then, later on, Tyra, in a later season, a later cycle, Tyra brought on a Caucasian woman who had a gap in her teeth. But they widened the actual gap and made her look like an older model from back in the day. I think her name was Leela Chappelli or something like that. I can't think of the name, but I saw it in the documentary there. So Danny was like, I got word that Tyra basically widened the gap of the other girl, but she closed mine. So, Tyra, that was a mess. I agree with Danny on that. So, a lot of things are a mess. Kim Mock, he regrets the crime scene photo shoot. Kim Mock should be regretting Shandy's scenes. And Tyra should regret editing it that way. That's what y'all should regret. You shouldn't be worried about these damn crime scene photo shoots. Sorry for cussing there, but I'm just being honest. You're worried about that. Ken, why are you worried about the photo shoot? Now, in the documentary, he said that he regrets the photo shoot. Dion Walters, she was one of the contestants. There was a photo shoot where they had to play different victims of different crimes. In Dion Walters' photo shoot in one of the earlier seasons of America's Next Top Model, this was Cycle 8 according to E! News, she played a woman who got shot in an alley, you know, from what it looked like. Now, Dion, her mother, got shot in an abusive relationship. Sorry, in a abusive relationship with a man, during Dion's childhood. Okay, so it was a man that her mom knew, and her mom was a victim to gun violence. Ken Mock, he regrets that because Dion talked about how that triggered her. He can totally apologize for that, own up to that. But, you know, I just find it crazy how you won't own up to how Shandy feels. And that's what people really are outraged about. I feel like that is people. I feel like people are sensitive about the body shaming. People are sensitive about the racial issues, the racial swapping and all that. You know, Jay Manuel was like, "Oh my God, I didn't want to do the racial swapping. He's South African." Okay, right. He didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do blackface. Understood, right? That is very understood. Apologize for the racial stuff because that is wild. They did it twice. They did it twice. They did the blackface and all that twice, and the brown face, painting white woman black and all that for the photo shoot, right? Just take account. You know, I think that's what people are the most upset about. You know, we can't go back in time. America's Next Top Model, with all of its mishaps and mistakes, please don't get upset when I say this, right? I'm putting on my fake marketing hat. I'm putting on my fake, hey, I'm one of these executive directors in LA. The concept of the show was golden. The show came out around the time of, you know, Survivor, all these different competition shows in the early 2000s, right? That was television at the time, right? In 2026, no one is exempt from being called out. I think that Tyra faced it head on for the most part, outside of the sexual assault stuff and the racial stuff. I feel like she faced it head on. I think Tyra needs to probably do like more of a sit down interview with probably like a Gayle King or somebody, or we need a good journalist though. I'm not saying Gayle King is not a good journalist, by the way, but I want Tyra to really sit down in a long form podcast. I don't want the documentary was good. Tyra said what she had to say, but I feel like she was very PR, very media trained. And maybe she was like that because these girls want to file a lawsuit. You know, and here's the thing, especially Shandy, she's entitled to that, by the way. But, you know, her as a public figure, I'm pretty sure Tyra is on camera like, look, my lawyers trained me on how to answer these questions, girl. I called my publicist before I got here. So I'm still going to keep it real. But I have to be careful about what I say for legal reasons, right? I'm sure Tyra is thinking that way. That plays a part in her coming off very controlled and very dismissive and unresponsive and not caring. But I think the people want genuine care. And I think Tyra, kudos to you for trying to face it, but girl, we got to show some more care. And maybe that's what the people want. I think Tyra is kind of trying, but I think the reason why we see this as like, okay, maybe you're not trying enough is because she's very like, okay, but it is what it is. But here's the flip side, y'all. That's how it was back then. All that crazy stuff was happening back then in the industry. We hear all these countless things of girls being taken advantage, all these different things for these opportunities. The casting couch, Me Too movement. You know, Tyra, this documentary ripped, not even just this documentary. It's not even just this documentary. Us having the lens of 2019 to now, having this progressive, ultra culturally sensitive lens, this ultra PC lens, this lens of, I'm going to critique everything because I'm an expert at critiquing everything that's problematic, right? There are people who have careers on critiquing every single thing. And, you know, some of us benefit from that, some of us don't, right? There are people who are influencers who are doing a damn good job at that. That's their lane where they will rip something apart and critique it and get paid $3,000 for it, right? And they're getting consulting gigs and all those things, right? In the age of that, we still have to understand the reality of the industry. And here's the thing, I think that people do understand it, but it needs to change. But will it change? It has not changed. It has not changed, y'all. It's a machine. It's a machine. It is a machine. there's a quote that I shared on my social media. I'm going to screenshot it and share it here because I feel like it'll help me better convey what I'm trying to say about Tyra Banks in particular. This quote was written by someone else. I will give them proper credit. But it was a quote basically saying how Tyra came from the 90s where views on race and body size and power dynamics were brutal. The way that people viewed these things, the way that people received these things. Cultural sensitivity was not practiced, right? So I think that that's what some of the older people kind of get, or like even me as a millennial, like I kind of understand that. I feel like I do understand that actually. And some people are like, okay, well, I get it, but it shouldn't be that way. But it's like, but it is that way. It's not going to change, you guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the real world will strip you apart and break you down, especially if you want to work in entertainment. You think all these people got it easy in that damn field? Even the people who are the most pretty and the most successful. Some of them, when it comes to modeling and beauty and all that, if they came from the older generation before all the social media stuff where you can get it easy. The people who are older than me and older than us, they were stripped. Do you get what I'm saying? And when I say stripped, I mean they've been in situations where no one cared. And I think that America's Next Top Model, according to that quote that I read on Instagram, and I'll share it here as well, it was a mirror to how this industry is. It was full on smoke and mirrors. And some of the girls saw that. Some of the girls didn't see it until it was too late. Some of the girls saw it immediately. Like, I think Eva saw that immediately. I think certain girls saw it immediately. And they were like, okay, bet. I'm going to pivot and go somewhere else. Right? I'm gonna get my little contract. I'm gonna get the promo off of it, right? But I'm gonna pivot and go somewhere else. If you guys are gonna typecast me into reality TV, like Eva was like, I'm gonna stay in reality TV, girl. I'm gonna start acting. Isis also did other reality shows, went to acting, right? It's certain girls where I feel like they got it, but they had to break their back to pave the way to the girls that we see today, right? So I know I'm all over the place. I know some of the things that I have said is going to trigger somebody. I try my best to be as delicate as I can and be as fair as I can and sensible as I can. I'm not justifying harm. I just think I am looking at it from a perspective of like, okay, I'm trying to see all sides here. And see, I think this is why my content pisses people off. I think this is why I be losing subscribers sometimes. Because maybe it's the journalist in me, you get me? Where we're trained to see things from all sides, right? But, you know, I have things that make me sensitive too, like the racial things make me sensitive, and it's something that I don't want to see practiced, especially I don't want to see it on TV, right? The what is it called? The transphobia, right? When I saw Isis on camera, I didn't like how those girls treated Isis on that show, right? So, you know, with each of these girls, the energy that the dynamics that we see is that each one of them had a narrative. Oh, this one is too fat. Oh, this one is trans. Oh, this one is dark skinned and ashy. Oh, this one is this. This one has an eating disorder. This one has a bad attitude. She fits the black woman stereotype, right? Each of them had a narrative that made ratings hit. And I think that, you know, I think the girls feel bamboozled. I think some of the fans, especially the younger ones, are angry because they're like, oh my God, this is so horrible, right? Some of us who are like a little bit older, we're kind of like, okay, but this is how it was, y'all. This is how we're not saying it's right. We're saying out of all the reality shows, maybe this show kind of came the closest to at least exposing the reality of the harshness to how certain people will be treated in the industry. That's the best way I could probably say it. Now, a lot of it was scripted. A lot of the producers pushed conflict. They totally did a disservice to Shandy. That's all I have to say about this documentary. Now, there is a new documentary coming out. Wait, hold on. Did I get all the moments? We're all over the place. Hold on. Look, you guys, I promise I took notes, but it's late at night. I just want to give it to you straight, no shooter. Okay? Kenya, she had the issue with the weight loss. They had her pose as an elephant. She talked about that. Tiffany and Tyra had the yelling thing. I already talked about that. Jay Manuel says Tyra gave him the cold shoulder after telling her that he wanted to leave the show. In my opinion, Jay Manuel, I don't really feel like, in all due respect, Jay Manuel's narrative is important to the show. He was one of the long-standing judges. It was important, but I feel like I don't want to overshadow the actual models on the show. I feel like we need more models on the show, like his narrative. It's interesting, but I feel like he was, I don't know. Maybe we'll do another video about Jay Manuel. Jay Manuel has a solid narrative, but he was fired. And I feel like, okay, you're showing how basically you were one of the people, you know, who was judging and stuff like that and saying things as well. But you want people to kind of give you sympathy for being fired when you also have built a great career off of the show. You know, a lot of these girls didn't get the careers that y'all got. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, I think that's why kind of people don't, I hate to say it, they kind of don't, I don't want to say they don't care, but they kind of don't. But, you know, I did enjoy the Jay Manuel piece. Whitney Thompson, she felt like the odd model out, but Whitney still has a career. Okay, so it worked out for her. She's a plus size model. She's great. Jay Manuel admitted, another top moment from E! News here, Jay Manuel admitted that basically the story eventually took precedent over the modeling potential. We all understand that. Basically, the focus on the reality show and the storylines became the focus for TV. Modeling definitely left probably like after cycle 4, okay? A lot of the girls really thought they were going to be these model icons. It did not work out. They all had a scarlet letter on their names, right? Very few of them actually got to have a career. It was like only 2 of them that actually got signed. The other ones did a little stuff, but they didn't have like these long-standing modeling careers. After a model was eliminated, I'm not going to get into that. One of the things I left out. Tyra did not visit Jay Alexander after he suffered a stroke in 2022. Now, Tyra, I love you down. This is a very long video, but that is wrong. You should visit Miss J, honey. Miss J was integral. Miss J had a stroke. You know, Miss J is a queer elder. You know, like, I don't want to, let me not age my girl, right? But I'm just saying, like, Miss J, oh my God, my allergies, sorry, y'all. Miss J is a focal point to the show, right along with Jay Manuel and Nigel, but we cannot deny the impact of Miss J. I don't know if Miss J identifies as non-binary or not, but, you know, if they do, shout out to the non-binary community, okay? Shout out to the femboys and femme queens, if they identify that way as well. I don't know how they identify, but Miss J, the least you could have done, girl, is visit Miss J. You know, you have all this money, you have all these coins. I get that you're in Australia. I get it, but at least pay Miss J a visit. Like that. So this is the thing, you know, that's why people are saying Tyra is cold, and this is why they're saying she's a villain. It's like, Tyra I really admire Tyra Banks. I really do. And I'm not trying to be shady or like slander her as I say this or be one of those content creators who's just like, oh my God, I wanna take a stab at gunning down Tyra. But Tyra, you could have at least visited Miss J. Like, come on, Miss J had a stroke. Y'all worked together for how many years? What? Like almost, they had 24 cycles. That's about, that's what, like almost 20 years of the show running? Like one of the longest running reality shows, child? What, 15, 20 years? So, what is it, about 12? Because they did 2 cycles a year. They were going pretty fast. It was about 10, 15 years or so. I can't remember. But the least, y'all have worked together for years, okay? Miss J, all of them have been there with you from the beginning. So I get that Tyra has her feelings, and we don't fully know all of Tyra's things, right? But Tyra, you are the face of this. So now it's time for you to do more damage control. And I don't know what reason why she doesn't want to do more. Oh, that sounds so, let me not say damage control, but what I'm saying is like, you could have at least visited him. She doesn't want to do damage control. Maybe Tyra doesn't care at this point. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Tyra Banks, but Tyra is focused on being a businesswoman and starting her ice cream stuff and living in Australia, raising her child. You know, Tyra is just focused on hustling and I guess searching for her next opportunity. But maybe somewhere along the line, maybe Tyra's humanity left, maybe. I don't know the woman personally. I don't know. But I'm just saying from what we see as viewers, the people are like, girl, where is your, like, is there a soul in there? Like, what's going on? Because, so, that's what the people are saying. So, anyways, I was all over the place. This is very long, but I really hope when this comes out, you enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Check out the documentary for yourself. If I've said anything that is deemed controversial or problematic, I stand to be corrected, but I really tried my best to look at this with my personal opinion with some reporting there. And also, just giving some commentary on it, right? Tyra is getting her lashings. Drop down below and let me all know what you think about this jumbled report here at the Stark Effect. Thank you so much for watching.